I think everyone gets a bit nervous on the big day.
Richard Johnson, the far side, Harry Senior, near side, Edward Stone and Tom Cannon.
Riding in the races is something that not many people get to experience.
Edward Stone gets to within a neck. Now he surges towards the near side, and it is Edward Stone who wins.
The driving, the highs and the lows, it's all part and parcel of it.
Edward Stone, the new star in town, wins the Betfair Tingle Creek.
Quite a privileged job, really.
They're heading in towards the wings now of the third last in the Arkle.
Cheltenham's probably more special to me now, having had a winner there.
Edward Stone is breezing into it now, and Edward Stone comes alongside Riviere to tell two out. They come together, they collide in the air.
Before last year, I'd always gone there with sort of no real strong chances.
Edward Stone emerges ahead. Blue Lord and Gabonarco are chasing Edward Stone over the last. He lands 3 lengths clear.
But then once I had the winner on Edward Stone, I sort of had a bit of an epiphany and suddenly sort of realised what it was all about, you know, and how addictive it is to sort of have a winner there, you know, what it does mean.
And it's Edward Stone halfway up the run-in, and he's beginning to power clear.
You know, walking back down the walkway, you know, that was the first time sort of I experienced that, and it was a real buzz and something that you want to do again and again.
It's Alan King and Tom Cannon in the Arkle. Edward Stone wins.
And once I've done it, and I've seen what it's like, you can see why everyone does get as hyped about Cheltenham. You can see what it's all about now, and yeah, great to have another one if I could. I'm Tom Cannon, professional jump jockey and Bet Goodwin ambassador. My family were into racing. My mum's a riding instructor, used to ride in point to points. She worked in racing, and obviously as I grew up it was always on at the weekends, and that's kind of how I got into it. Learned to ride. Being a young, headstrong boy, I probably liked going fast and jumping jumps, and sort of managed to combine the two and make a job out of it. I went professional when I was about 20, I think. I'd been an amateur for a number of years, riding in point to points, was a national novice champion, and started getting a lot of rides as an amateur under rules. I decided that I may as well get paid to do it, so I had the idea of sort of doing it as long as I could and making a career out of it, and luckily I have. My first winner, I just remember, it was for Chris Gordon, it was at Fontwell.
And they're off, racing 2.5 miles in front of them.
Tom rode his very first winner under rules for us.
I'd seen a lot of my peers, sort of similar age to me, that had winners, and I was desperate to have a winner, and I'd had about 60 odd rides and couldn't ride a winner.
Days of Pleasure, who came under pressure in front of the stands but has battled back.
It was a hands and heels race.
Here's the second last, and now Days of Pleasure coming through from Worried, and Days of Pleasure, well, this would have been a big prize with a circuit to go, being pushed along.
I think I had to push it for most of the way, and it ended up winning, and it was just like a massive relief, I think.
But last year's winner comes to the last flight with the race at his mercy again, and Days of Pleasure is now romping away with this in the hands of Tom Cannon. Days of Pleasure clearly likes this race, likes this day, likes this track, is going to win by, at least 20 lengths by the look of things.
It was just a relief, and yeah, just wanted to have the next one then straight away.
As they come down to 3 out, Days of Pleasure was the leader. At the last together, and just the better at it with Days of Pleasure. It's going to be a very close thing as they hit the line. Days of Pleasure, I think, might have held on.
Tom's brilliant, you know, nowadays because he's ridden a great, you know, he's riding Edward Stone, and so people will suddenly go, oh, he's a good jockey, that Tom Cannon. Tom's always been a very good jockey.
Chris obviously got me going. Still ride for him, ride a lot of winners for him. I wouldn't be riding for Alan King if I wasn't riding for Chris Gordon to begin with. So he's the one that sort of set the ball in motion really with the rides he gave me. And it was through him that I got the connection with Alan King. And
when Wayne Hutchinson retired, he slotted in as number 1, and goodness me, off and on probably 5 or 6 years. Look, I've been delighted the way it's progressed, and to give him his first Grade 1 winners were very special. I
mean, he's played a massive part. Obviously, you know, he gave me a chance, to come to a big yard, an established yard that that has had the big winners, which is something that I was aspiring to do, and the meeting I was aspiring to be at. The toughest part of being a jockey is probably the driving can be tough. Getting in the car and driving 3 or 4 hours a day, watching your weight. But again, when your weight's down, it's not as hard. And then probably just when things are going badly, really. Like it happens with any walk of life. Just happens a bit quicker in racing. That's all. And then the injuries are part and parcel of it. But you can be injured and still ride winners. So it's not the end of the world. So normally in the mornings I drive racing, and I try and get here at least 2 hours before my first ride. Obviously saunas have been banned now, so I always like to have a quick run round the track, couple of laps just to see what the ground's like, layer up, and if you can drop a pound or two running round, it means you can, you know, afford yourself a drink or something before you ride, which is nice. The other benefit of running around is you can see what the jumps are like, where the best ground is, and it's just nice to be off your phone and you know, having a leg stretch when you've been sat in a car all morning. Lord Baddesley and Klitschko being my best rides today, hopefully. It'd be lovely if Klitschko could win in my first ride, and then that would put me into, you know, great frame of mind for Lord Baddesley. So could be a good day, could be a shocker. You never know.
Racing then for this strong favours catering for maiden hurdle, short run to the first stage. Martin with Klitschko now right on the leader's heels. Jack Savage is in third place. This is two from the finish. Marduk with Klitschko pushing along to challenge. Marduk fighting over on the far side. Klitschko on the near side has the advantage. Klitschko having to work to hold off Marduk, but will just about do so. Klitschko.
Yeah, so far so good. It worked out well on Klitschko. He's not the easiest of rides. He needs to switch off, and luckily he was the best horse on the day.
Feature race, the tie the knot winning catering novices handicap chase, and they're off.
Right, Thom is jumping in previous races, has been an asset so far. It's been out jumped by Lord Baddesley.
Two from the finish. Lord Baddesley steadied into it. Is over. The gap is 5 to 6 lengths to Gwynedd Bond. But Lord Baddesley up the hill. Another feature race. Another win for Chris Gordon. 2 on the day for Tom Cannon.
It doesn't always go that smoothly, but look, I had 2 good rides. Lord Baddesley, he was the best horse on the day. Got in front and got in a good rhythm, which is important around here. So that won in the race. My two main suppliers of ride. It was nice to keep both of them happy. So yeah, a very good day so far for me, and yeah, one more ride. So if that goes well, I'll be happy, even happier.
Come up here behind Tom. Well, listen, I can get a buzz out of any winner, to be honest. But yeah, I suppose you get more keyed up for the big days. And I mean, Edwardstone, that was very special. Cheltenham last year, because we had been a few years without one, and you start missing them, you know. But equally, you know, you can go to one of the small tracks and win an ordinary race, and it can give you just a huge amount of satisfaction. And
so yeah, this is Edwardstone. Obviously, he's well known now. He's a great horse. I've ridden him now for the last couple of years. He danced every dance really last year and sort of proved himself at the very top. And he started this year with a bang, winning the Tingle Creek. So yeah, all roads lead to Cheltenham now. Hopefully he can shine there this year like he did last year.
Edwardstone, we've always thought was a good horse, and but it took a good few years to make him. He didn't win a bumper. He was second, I think, 3 times, and we got beat by a very good horse in Nicky's at Warwick one day. And then over hurdles, he was just always inclined to over race. So it took a couple of seasons to get him to relax and race properly. But I think long term it probably did him good. Running in those, you know, handicaps, the county hurdles and the Betfairs, it makes a man of them. And I think we were sort of seeing the rewards of the patience the last couple of seasons now.
So he'll probably school a couple of times, normally a bit close to the run. So the week before, he'll probably school a couple of times, maybe 2 weeks out, just have a little sighter over the fences. And then as far as his work goes, it's from now up until sort of a week or 2 before, he'll be upping the work. He just did 2 routine canters with me this morning, just sort of pipe openers. And then he'll obviously do bits of work sort of near the time. Last year, I had a winner here on my last ride before Cheltenham the next day. So obviously, you know, I went there full of confidence, and it's a sport that's all about momentum, you know, whether you're a jockey or a trainer or anything else, and you need to be having winners just to keep the ball rolling, and, you know, it's all about confidence. So any winner's good, and especially going into those big festivals in the spring, you know, if you can have winners at these smaller tracks leading up to them, it definitely put you in the right mindset anyway.
Second last, entered a new sheet, jumping well in front, he landed 3 ahead. Second place is Enojamin, trying to pick up Edwardstone coming with him.
Best feeling in the world is jumping the last on a good stride, and then the worst feeling in the world is another horse coming past you and you think you've won the race. So
Edwardstone emerges now as the danger,
It's a great feeling, you know, especially if you're in a tight finish and you get up, but it's the worst feeling in the world as a jockey when you're in front, you jump the last and then something comes and does you, but that's the nature of the beast, and it swings and roundabouts.
Photo finish, photo finish.
You know, I must admit, when we jumped the last and went sort of half a length up, I thought that was it was all over. And unusual for him not to hit the line a bit harder than he did that day. And you know, I'm not taking anything away from Gary's horse, and what was it? Respect him greatly, but I'm not sure we were quite at our best then.
Sometimes all it takes is one horse to fire, you know, be 100% on the day, and one to slightly underperform, maybe not be 110% to get beat. But I thought when I jumped the last, I was going to go and win the race, and he just got a little bit tired up the running. But it wasn't March, so we're worried. Hopefully there'll be a bit more to come in March.
Edwardstone now is inching closer.
It's a game of ups and downs. Once you're in a race, you're not worried about how big the jumps are. There's so much other things going on. The jumps are something for the horse to worry about, and not the jockey so much.
Edwardstone is breezing into it now. He gets to the mare's quarters.
I think everyone gets a bit nervous on the big day, but you could get nervous on the little days if it was if you were riding something that was, not great.
And Edwardstone comes alongside Riviere to tell. Two out they come together. They collide in the air. Edwardstone emerges ahead.
You can ride a good jumper and you could ride them around with your eyes closed, and you could ride a bad jumper and you have to help them every step of the way, but some of it comes down to luck as well. You always see the worst fools really jump racing when the ground gets quicker, and probably over hurdles as well. The speed kills at the end of the day, and that's why jockeys, particularly jump jockeys, like soft ground, because it slows everything down a bit.
Blue Lord and Gabonarco are chasing Edwardstone over the last, with springs at his heels. He lands 3 lengths clear.
I think everyone has pressure on them and goes out with it needs a little bit of pressure or nerves just to make them perform at their best.
Edwardstone halfway up the run-in, and he's beginning to power clear of Gabonarco and Blue Lord. It's Alan King and Tom Cannon in the Arkle. Edwardstone wins.
But yeah, for him to do it in a champion chase would be special. It was special last year, but I just think having known how hard it is to have one winner, to be able to do it again, it would be it'd be amazing, and it'd mean just as much to me, and probably even a bit more, I'd say.